Hey, I hope you are doing well. You are looking at a 13-week cash flow and you are scrolling into the trend generated forecast for the base case, and you look and say, wow, I'm running out of money come July based on my historical activities and my past cash behaviors. And as a prudent operator, you say to yourself, this can't happen. What can you do? Well, you can manually update things based on this little assumption driver thing. Maybe I'll do another video about that. But what's cool is I actually create a way where you can actually just talk and have a natural dialogue with an AI agent that can update the underlying forecast model, which supplements just this specific row for cash deposits. Basically, it's like a revenue engine. So let's just kick it off. Okay, what levers can I pull to change this forecast? Which is usually a pretty good thing to understand what's driving it. And what's happening with this workflow, basically, this AI agent here is getting front loaded with all the information pertaining to that forecast model, and it's kicking you back a response. It says you can change the forecast by adjusting AOV, new customer counts, or retention rates for any of the 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, or 12-month plans starting from March 2026 forward, or onward is actually what it says. All right, let's ask it another question. Very interesting. Well, to get a bearing on how to forecast in the future, can you give me some insights on actuals that have happened in the past? Once again, same thing. This message is going to go through this workflow. The AI is going to receive it as well as all the information from the model and kick you back a response. Might be a good time to actually look at the model now, and you can see it's already given you a response. Let's see what it says. For past actuals, 2025, the 1 month plan's AOV was steady at 2,500. Let's just see that. So we're now back in this forecast model, which you can see is a cohort retention model. One caveat, which I, the nerd, find really cool, this model is actually being supplemented by another automation to actualize it, which is something we do in practice where we basically just actualize the model so we have the latest and greatest drivers, and then we can carry that forward. This data here, which is pulling from Stripe and specifically the subscription report, and this here is pulling the invoice report, organizing it, and then basically allowing us to come into the different plans and update accordingly. So when we look at the drivers like new customer, retention, and then AOV, these are actually being generated from real results. But as the forecasting agent said, or whatever we call this agent, we can really only make changes to the future from March 2026 on. All right. So anyways, so for past actuals, we talked about the 2,500. Let's see what it says. New customers averaged about 0.67, with some months as high as 3, and retention, well, that's kind of a weird way of saying it, but what it's basically saying is, new actual customers vary. Let's see what it says for maybe like the 6 month plan. Let's go down to the 6 month plan. The 6 month plan AOV was steady with an average of 2 customers monthly, and retention holds at 100 through month 12, which just spot check that. Yeah, that seems to be the case. Okay, great. Let's ask some more questions. Very insightful. If you were me, how would you think about forecasting in the future? What opportunity is there on the table? Okay, sending that out. Back to the workflow. The way it's designed is it's basically just going to do back and forth messaging until it gets to a point where it has enough insight to actually go and update the model itself. All right, to effectively forecast, focus on the strongest drivers, new customer and retention. Okay. The 1 month plan says steady, or the new 1 month plan shows steady AOV, but could grow with increased customer acquisition beyond current month. I'm not going to read just to keep the video short. If you want to pause and look at the response the agent gives, more or less, I'm just going to kick over it. I'm going to kick it through. All right, let's just do this. Wow, extremely impactful. I say we go with your suggested plan and slowly increase new customer acquisition throughout 2026. I wanted to get to a point where all the plans are almost doubling what they're producing now. And I also want to gradually increase the AOV. And if there's any way, let's also extend retention as long as possible to whatever you think makes sense. I kind of just said like whatever. But what's important is it's running, and now from this point, it should be going down into this where this code right here is actually going to send a batch update to named ranges in my model. And then from there, we're going to pull said scenario and we're going to upload it into the database. And then we're going to ping the RPC that sends the information back to the UI. That's more or less what's happening. But let's see if it lands as it says it's going to land. And you can see now it's been updated. We have a new scenario. And let's see what it says. I've set gradual increases in new customers for all plans during 2026, nearly double the current levels by year end. The AOVs also ramp up progressively to about double their February 2026 base values. Retentions are extended where it makes sense, improving. Okay, so it doesn't land in base case anymore. It's landing over here. So let's just kind of spot check a couple things. So we're in the 1 month plan, and you can see it's starting to trend up. Whoa, it's really going up. Awesome. Okay, so what did it say it's going to do? It's gradually increasing new customers. I guess it's maybe using this 11 as a base. I don't know, but it's really ramping it up. Yeah, retention is moving um, steadily or increasing steadily. I don't know if you remember, but if we go back to this plan here, this is another base. You can see retention kind of falls off. By the time we get to month 14, it's 0, but for example, month 1 plan, we used to have 40% by month 14. So let's just assume everything landed correct. Just for the sake of time, we can come into here and we can now look at a little chart to see what our runway is starting to look like. So you can see what it looked like with base. Once again, we're running out of money here. Let's see what happens when we layer on scenario A. All right, you can see that actuals, which are right here, stay flat. But then seems like we still get a little low. Actually, it looks like we're still cash positive in scenario A. What's going on is actually the chart's getting massively impacted since we're bringing on so many new customers. And then I think retention's staying flat, which is going gangbusters. But um, I mean, is it the most realistic thing in the world? I don't know. We might want to scrutinize a little bit, go back and forth, maybe do another scenario where we plan for downside. But what's cool is I didn't touch anything. I just talked, had a natural language. I didn't barely read anything. I just said, do what you think is best, and it updated the model. It's kind of like a circle of life. I have an automation to actualize the model, and now I, from my UI, can actually update the model, and that circle of life continues. It's pretty crazy. It's kind of like the Lion King. Just kidding, it's nothing like the Lion King. But anyways, if you're interested in this stuff, I'd love to talk. I think this stuff's pretty cool. I think this is potentially the future of reporting for FP&A, especially when you have some standardized reporting and just like consistent packages that you deliver to your clients or your team or whatever the case may be. So let's get on a call. Let's chat. All right, guys. Take care.